Hello everyone and welcome to PaxAriaGaming. This is Reg and welcome to episode 14, the finale of Wuchang Fallen Feathers. Alright, as always, we're picking up exactly where we left off in the last episode. We are supposed to be meeting up with Heizai. We'd just gotten through speaking to the storyteller, who told us that we had someone waiting below to talk to us. It's Heizai, who we haven't seen in a while, and we're heading down to talk to him.
Who are you? Wuchang. Why does that name sound so familiar? By you. The belled pinwheel. Wuchang. Monsters are No, don't touch me. Go, now. Just go.
Right, he's clearly having some issues. Okay, this is another gesture. And the gesture is actually spin the pinwheel, which took me forever to actually find, but I found it. I will admit, that one was a bit underwhelming compared to all the other ones we've done in the game up to this point. Okay, now we're going to ride this elevator down to Featherfall Marsh. And we will be completing Featherfall Marsh. And then before we fight the final boss, we are going to go back and fight a nemesis that we could have actually fought already. It's the Demon of Obsession. We could have fought her when we found the what is the shrine called? The Shrine Dwelling, which we located. And I indicated we'd be coming back to it, so we're going to go back to it. So we'll have back-to-back bosses after we clear this area. So we'll clear... This is new. Okay, well that's different. Yeah, I need to put on my, put back on that consumable that takes care of corruption. As with in the previous episode, they're not very difficult to kill, but you're dealing with corruption in the water, and you're dealing with that new ability that thing had. And that's a little annoying. These little guys aren't much of an issue. figured I should switch to the one that gives me a little bit of health on hit. The good news is I haven't really run out of flasks or vases, not flasks, since I've upgraded them. You get to 11 or 12, you really don't tend to run out. Plus I have the pendant equipped that gives me health on killing. This spell gives me health on hitting. And I have other consumables that give me health as well. So to get from one shrine to the next, I'm probably okay. The only time that wouldn't be true is if you end up fighting a bunch of mini bosses. Or in my case, those damn avian guys. So this is a little bit like the capital entrance where you had multiple of these flower things. You have a bunch of little zombies as well, but they're not a problem. This baby slasher shouldn't be much of an issue for us either. I'm still doing a little bit more melee than I was doing earlier, so I feel good about that. This is the adult slasher. Yeah, one of the things about having two weapons equipped is that I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. At some point I must hit a particular trigger or button, input button that switches weapons, even when that's not what I'm trying to do. So you saw her sort of Wuchang pause and sort of go into a particular stance. That's not what I was trying to do. And, you know, that has gotten me killed in boss fights. So whenever I go into a boss fight, I usually just switch to one weapon, because that way I know that won't happen. I had a similar experience in Assassin's Creed Shadows. It kept switching me over to the Tanto, and then it wouldn't let me change back to the Katana, which was pretty annoying. So then I just had to just equip only one thing. Or if I'm going to equip two things, make sure it's two things that I like. So I did the Kasurigama and the Katana. That way, if it switched, I could use either weapon. The Tanto is a very short weapon, so I wasn't really thrilled with using that weapon. It's sort of like using daggers in this game. So anyway, that's enough of my complaining. All right, what we're doing is we're just circling around, make sure we're not missing any loot. We're going to be heading into an area with a ton of enemies in branching sections. In order to move forward to the actual end game and get into the last location, we need to find two items. So we're not just running around this area just for the sake of looting things. We're actually going to eventually get into a space where we're looking for those 2 items. As soon as I take care of this thing. This will likely be a shorter than normal episode based on what I have left to accomplish. And I think in the previous episode I mentioned I might do New Game Plus, but if I did, I would do it mostly offline because Ghost of Yotai comes out this week and I want to start playing that. I'll start content with Ghost of Yotai on Tuesday, next Tuesday. I guess you guys don't know what date it is. Today is the 29th, Monday, 29th of September. So next Tuesday, I will start content, or I'll upload my first video from Ghost of Yotai. So in the meanwhile, I am playing through Wuchang Fallen Feathers New Game Plus, and what I'm doing is only recording the boss fights. So I will likely upload a bonus video for my Friday upload, and that'll be all the boss fights in New Game Plus that I would have gotten to, depending on where I am in the game. I can tell you already, I missed the first 2 bosses because I didn't realize I could one-shot them, and I did. Which is very different from my playthrough in the first time I played through the game. I'm using the final boss's weapon. And I have a weapon that helps with the demon of the inner demons. I have another one that just destroys the pot ladies in one shot. So running through the game has been much, much quicker. But I will show you what I have. It'll only be the boss fights. I'm not going to show you. I'm not show you guys me going through the whole story again. Okay, so you have an avian fighting the bow dragon or bow whatever that creature is called. I think it's a bow dragon, and he just doesn't seem to be doing anything. He's just taking all the hits. You can get them to fight each other, by the way. So you will see them separated. Okay, so you killed them. That's because you didn't fight back. You'll see them separate, like you'll see a dragon on the steps somewhere, and you'll see one of these bow guys, these bow avian guys. I think that's what he is. I'm not sure. I'll get the names right. You'll see him in a different part of the arena. If you kite them over to one another, they will fight. So you don't necessarily have to kill all of them. You just get them to fight each other, and you can run past them if they're blocking. Typically, they're standing at an entrance that you need to get to. And so the idea is to, at least a strategy is to get them to fight each other. Obviously, the other strategy is just to kill them both. So I'm just flipping through this area to see whether or not there's anything I missed. I don't think necessarily that there is, but I'm not sure. While I'm at it, I'm going to throw some ice darts at this guy. He will throw his air ball at me. He'll walk towards me, but he won't ever follow me all the way. I don't know where that bird is. Oh, there it is. Yeah, frankly, I'm not sure which does more damage, whether the ice does more damage or the fire with those guys. They're just incredibly tanky. But the good news is they don't move very fast. Unlike some of the field bosses, they don't really chase you around. He does the slow millennial walk thing, which is terrifying, but you can always get away from him. He does have an AoE that he uses from time to time, but that's only if you get within his AoE range. I'm just making sure I'm not missing any little turnoffs. There's another fight going on the other side of that little island thing. Take care of this guy who was apparently being a spectator to all of that. Yeah, this is a nice size little arena. The goal is just to loop all the way around this structure in the middle. And there, obviously, you can go in, I think it's 3 different directions. You can go right, you can go left, or you can go straight ahead on the other side of this. The real path you want to get to will be the last place that you actually go. The reason that spell is a little bit more effective now than it was when I started using it a while back is because I reached the sort of soft cap at magic. I've been putting things into feathering. And that's a feathering spell. I haven't done the comparison recently to see how close it is to the actual magic spell, the Vorpal Blade. But the Vorpal Blade doesn't give me health on hit, so I like the fact that it's a good bonus. You wouldn't use it in a boss fight or a field boss fight, because they just move too fast. For these little mob guys, the little zombie guys, it's a good thing to use. Yeah, knowing that we eventually have to fight all of those is a little terrifying. And like I said, if I thought about it, I would have simply kited them over to one another and let them fight each other. Okay, so we're going to take the left path first. The good news is that many of the constructs are already, like, dead. It's interesting because when you walk over here, you say, oh my god, I gotta fight all of these guys. You really don't. And the other thing is, I probably could ignore most of the zombies. They don't seem to do much unless you get close to them. Sometimes you can hear them walking towards you, and you're wondering, what are those footsteps that I hear? And it's usually a zombie somewhere. Okay, so the goal is to clear out this little section first. Sorry, I forgot some little item there. Clear out this section first, then move to the far right section, and then come back to the center section. first things first. Boy, electricity is such a good weapon against these constructs. And I have a couple of lightning-based or electricity-based spells. This one seems to recharge pretty quickly, so that's why I've been using it. I haven't tested out the other ones to see whether or not they're more effective or not. Of course, another pathway. And we have one of the soulbird shards. We need two. We need a left and a right to access the final area of the game. So, as I mentioned, that's why we're sort of skulking around this area. Okay, so we can go across here, and we can drop down on the other side. And we know there's a bow dragon thingy under the water because we see his little wings flapping around down there. We have a feather, even though we didn't kill a bird. Avian tear and a lustrous red feather. Nice. So, as you can see, you get tons of upgrade material in the later parts of the game. Worth a lot more than the ones we were getting in the earlier part of the game. So, Wuchang right now is probably, I think 117, I think, is where she is. We'll probably finish the game. She'll probably be at 118 or 119 because we don't have that much to do. And if I wanted to, I guess I can go and just level everything up, spend everything I have before that. But it'll only get me 1 or 2 more levels, and I think that I'm already at the appropriate level or slightly above, so I don't need to do that. And if I'm going to begin New Game Plus, it'd be nice to start with some upgrade material. So I'll just do it that way. So the only thing we did was we ran across this new bridge to grab those items. And now we're going to do the drop down that we saw earlier. And this is a one-way trip. Since we dropped down, we can't go back up. So down it is. And I want to kill these guys before I aggro the big guy. Just to make sure I'm not fighting like 8 different things. Zombie is slowly ambling his way towards me. We're going to kill him, and then we can deal with... no, before we deal with him, how about we deal with this door? I've given up on trying to figure out where these doors lead back to. Ouch. That's what happens when you don't kill the zombies walking around. They become annoying little bastards. So, okay. One of the things is I want to make sure. Okay. Yeah, neither option is good. I was going to say I'll just kill him and run through the door, but that's not really a good option since there's a even tankier enemy on this side. Comparatively speaking, the slashers are easier. Okay, now I see where we are. All right, when we climbed the tree thingy to get those items, where that dragon thingy is the central set of steps that we're going to go up. We're going to deal with that last, actually. And the next section we're going to deal with is directly across from us, on what would be considered the right side of the arena if you're facing the central steps. And the real question is there a way to really snipe him from where I am or not? Now that I've annoyed him. Sword equipped. The correct sword would have had an evasive maneuver when I hit the trigger. This one has something different. Wow. Okay. That was probably not very well advised. And by the way, this is what happens when you're not paying attention to your notes. So, like, Reg, why are you even on this side of the map? That's okay, we'll figure it out. Where was I? Or where was I supposed to be? Looting. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Looting. If you look above, you see the beam of light. You look straight up. You actually need 2 beams of light. And you stand on that central pillar, that little pressure plate there, and it activates. So we don't have what we need. So that's why we weren't supposed to do the center staircase yet. And again, the strategy would have been to, let's see. All right. There's an tall avian guy standing. can't see him from the side. Standing over there. You see him to the right of the flower thing. The idea would have been to kite that guy over. But we're going to do it. We're going to do it methodically. We're going to kill the flower. And then we're going to kill the other guy. The avian guy. The thing to remember is if you die here, all of these enemies respawn. So there's a significant amount of motivation to stay alive. Okay, so we got the flower. Take care of this aggravating mage. And then we can focus on the mage. That other avian guy was fighting the other creature over there. He's the one that killed. Yeah, I don't think he's the same one though, because I think I killed that one. And I hadn't restarted. Well, I guess he's out of air balls because nothing's flying this way. Another bird somewhere that I'm not seeing. Yeah, I think all of these constructs are inert. Oh, there you are. Right, I found the bird. Okay, so we're going to take a little detour through this door. I don't think we have a choice. I think we have to take a detour through this door because I think the other half of the item we need to activate, that central staircase thing, is in here. Okay, so we climb the stairs. There are a couple of other constructs. I think they're mostly inert. And then, then it's one of these avian guys. Great, just great. Yeah, so having the other weapon equipped cost me. That's an example. So instead of evasive maneuver, it was doing some other maneuver. So I had to work my way all the way back over here. Very frustrating. So yes, that dragon at the central steps, he's back. I didn't kill him the second time through. So I did work my way all the way back here. Killed the guy who killed me. On this platform, this is what you get. You have a little bridge leading to another area. We're going to take that. Very frustrating. But my own fault for not sort of being ultra careful this far away from a shrine. Okay, we have another one-way trip. What I mean is, once you do the little drop down, you can't really go back in that direction. And as you can hear, we have a couple of enemies because you can hear them walking around over there. And yes, we're going to be taking them on. So I'm actually guessing the way forward is up these steps, maybe? Oh, yeah, it is. May as well do this while we're here. All goes well, we should see this second beam of light. There we go. Okay, yeah. We got the other half of the soul bird. Yes, we are still going to kill these little creatures down here. They don't get off the hook because I've unlocked the soul bird thing. Actually, I guess it's pronounced Sol bird. I guess it has to do with the sun. The sun is Sol. And if you're wondering why am I struggling with the two different weapons and their switches, they're both short swords, number one. The one I like because of the evasive maneuver ability. But the best one in the game prior to the end game, very end game, you don't get the new one until you defeat the final boss, is a more powerful weapon, and it actually enhances your spells. So it's a bit of a bonus if you use it, and if I had learned to properly dodge instead of needing to use the evasive maneuver, this would be less of an issue. But since I didn't, and we're 2 bosses away from the end of the game, I'm not likely to learn at this point. So we're going to kill that guy over there. Grab any loot in the area that he might have been protecting. And then we will continue on. Okay, so he ended up dying. Yeah, the door is my safe space. They won't come through the door. At least that one wouldn't come through the door. We have a zombie, and we have one more flower creature. I think these are all inert. Yes. I think there's one item near the flower guy. So I think there's an item there. Yeah, there is. Okay. Some red mercury, not too bad, but again, if you weren't up to the task, it wouldn't have been the most awful thing in the world not to have it. Here's another one. Here's some great upgrade material. Level up material. Lingering in the poison water for too long. Just making sure I didn't leave anything. I don't think I did. I think I'm being a little obsessive. So this leads back to the tree, which is in that center area, and we should be able to see the, excuse me, the avian bird guy. Yeah, because I died, they all respawn. Just in case you're wondering, why are all these guys back? You have the two... Yeah, I didn't need to come up here, actually. I need to be down below. But this just gives you a sort of a scope out area. It's that guy who's the most dangerous. And again, I killed him before I died. So we're going to do that. He must have walked into one of the geysers because he did die shortly after I did that. And I definitely didn't necessarily kill him with a hit, so he must have walked into one of the geysers after I hit him. And now we're going to go up, and we're going to use the two items that we've worked so hard to locate. And that will open up a new pathway for us. Onward we march. You can feel the anticipation to the end of the game. Those little things look like things that you can jump off onto. but you can't, so don't try. Wuchang's little sister. I think earlier I had alluded to it being a little brother, but it's actually a little sister. So the Forbidden Lands is the last area of the game. Oh, we have a little music. Whether it survives the editing process or not depends on whether or not YouTube flags it. Okay, so we're going to cross this little bridge and activate the shrine. But we're not going to fight the boss because we have another person that we need to see before we actually fight the boss. The final inner demon, or final demon, it's the demon of obsession. And if you guys think she looks a lot like the plainclothes warrioress, there might be a reason for that. The question, how much of this is happening in Wuchang's head versus in reality? Is this an internal struggle? Is this an internal struggle, or is this some weird existential extension of her internal struggle? I'll let you know. And those avian creatures that we saw as we were coming up are non-hostile. I think if you attack them, they will fight you. But there's really no reason to do that. So we're going to level up one last time. And as I indicated, we're not going to deal with the boss just yet. It's in the shrine dwelling. And actually, she's the only, the only thing there. There are no other enemies there. It's just her. It's pretty short. It's not like you can wander too far. Looks kind of cool, but you can't really, there are not many paths that you can actually follow. So I'm equipping this thing, which came from the white-robed elder. Supposedly, all right, we're going to find out together, but supposedly it actually is quite effective against the inner demons. Now, this is not exactly an inner demon. This is the demon of obsession. So it looks a lot like the inner demon, but this one's a lot stronger than the ones we faced before. So that becomes the question. Will this work against her or not? Certainly in New Game Plus, it should work against the inner demons that you face, because most of them, I guess until you get to the end game, until you get to this last one. In order to get to this one, you need to have all 5 chisel points, all 5 chisels that you would have collected throughout the game. If you're missing any of them, you will not be able to face her.
The chisel is complete. By you. It's time to bring you
So if you didn't have this option, it meant you were missing a chisel. She said the chisel is complete, so maybe they're parts of a chisel, but in any case, there are 5 parts or 5 chisels. And if you don't have all 5, this fight won't happen. She's magic based. And while the fight won't happen, I don't think it actually changes the end of the game. At least I don't think it does. But it definitely won't happen. Unlike in Black Myth, if you defeated all of the long bosses, okay, yep, I'll keep that death in so you can see it. If you defeat all the long bosses, you get to fight Erlang Shen. You only get to fight him if you defeated all the long bosses. In that particular case, it does matter, because if you don't fight Erlang Shen, you can't get a particular ending. Okay, so as you can see, that spell stuns her enough for you to be able to get in pretty decent damage. You do like 5,000 damage just with that one spell. She's pretty agile, as she is throughout the game. So she doesn't move any faster in this version of her than any other version. The difference is she's using a lot of magic spells. Oh, she can still kick you and stab you and do all that kind of stuff too, but magic is her big thing in this. So if I were using a longsword, I would have been able to get an obliterate both times, which means she probably would be, I would probably only need to do this 3 times. I've already done it twice, but I would have likely only needed to do it twice. So it's just stubbornness on my part not to switch weapons.
Do not keep us waiting.
Yeah, that's the one thing about the short sword I think I've mentioned or complained about before, is that getting obliterates is very difficult. But I gotta believe if I had equipped the Wuchang weapon, I might have been able to get it. Even with a short sword. Echo of Wuchang. If I'd used it, if I'd used it, I probably could have gotten obliterated. I like that spell she just used. That was kind of nice. I don't think I have it, actually. There should only be 1 spell left in the game, maybe 2, that come from the final boss that you don't have. So it's interesting she's doing some things that I don't have, or maybe just I haven't tried, because it doesn't look the same. She's going to continue to be relentless, so... Most of her moves are dodgeable. And I only have the 1 sword equipped to not cost me my life. This is my... Like clockwork, Alexa always notifies me during the middle of one of my recording sessions. This is my 10th attempt, by the way. So for some reason, that spell caused some damage, but it didn't stun her like it did the first 3 times I used it, which is weird. So we're going to switch off and use fire instead. Doesn't cause nearly as much damage, but over time, if I can proc fire on her, if I can get another hit in while she's still vulnerable to fire, which doesn't look like it would. Okay, I can do this. Okay. Yeah, do that. Do a little bit more damage. Where are you? She's using one of my new favorite spells, the lightning thing.
The madness persists.
One of the benefits of this being at the end of the... Oh, she's got this spell too. Yeah. This is annoying. This is the spell I use quite a bit in Mount Vineyard. That one. Oh, I know what that is. She has, I think that is the, not bow sorceress, the other bow lady we fought. Who was the red-clad lady that we fought later. I think that's the staff that she was using, which you get as one of the bad endings. Definitely not an ending that you would want. So it's a little bit of a cheat for her to be able to use that stuff, if the only way you can get it is to have already lost. Missing more of my little magic shots than actually making at this point, but that's okay. I'm not too worried. You know, be patient. Figure 3 more of these and she should be dead. Next one. One of the things about this one is she does give you time to heal. So you have to be a little strategic, but you do have time to heal. That was number 2. And this last one should do it.
Your hands. How fitting.
There we go. Demon of Obsession is done. You get all of her clothes. Get some red mercury. Now, curiously, I wonder whether that means the madness is gone forever. So if I end up dying to the final boss 20 times, does that mean I won't have madness? Okay, we're going to do the sacrifice gesture.
Sealing Bieling is no simple task. Even the heavens are impermanent, and thus even the divine powers are fading.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so the last two of these have not been all that clear. Like I said, in the early game, it was almost as though you were getting little messages. Now it's like, okay, you know, the mystery's almost resolved. Spoke to the storyteller. He let us know, at least in part, what his role is. And we will be able to summon him for the boss fight, by the way. So that was the second to the last boss of the game. That looks like a door that could be opened, but apparently you can't. I'm doing my loop around to make sure I'm not leaving anything. Although this area is pretty desolate. I mean, she was the only entity here. And the only other thing that you can do was to interact with that little thing to do the gesture. And now we go back to the Forbidden Lands to sort of see where we end up from at this point. And if you're wondering what all of this is, I'm just showing you what the loadout is at this point. And so we're at level 116. And that will be the end level. Which is probably right where it should be for this point. You know, could I get one more level before? Yeah, I probably could. Okay, so back to the Forbidden Lands we go. And the final boss is the Feathery Ambition. He has another name that I'll butcher if I try to pronounce it. So we're going to stick with Feathery Ambition. That's the easier of the two to pronounce. We're going to grab this item, which is a token. Not sure what we do with that. I mean, since you're getting at the very end of the game.
Marrow and bone, ash and dust, run through me, blood of the ancient. Gates once shut, now wide open. The time is nigh. Hope all but forsaken, yet here I stand. All the power under my command. I must thank you, Wuchang. Heavens above, feathers within. Earth and soul aligned. All has become I. Feathering, fuel my ascension.
Okay, so I'm guessing we have lots of feathering damage.
By Tyrion, like father, like daughter. Heavens be praised! Thunderous divine, smite those unworthy!
Okay, you summon the storyteller. since he's a guide, I don't actually know whether he can die in this fight. But he's got a health bar, so I guess it means he can die. Well, he can take damage too, apparently. Yeah, the hitbox, the hitboxes are a little bit odd with this particular enemy.
Today, I took my vengeance.
We have the storyteller in the background yelling, "I will end you," for doing his best Egon impression, while Feathery Ambition rambles on. Yeah, if you're wise, you wouldn't be getting hit by that. You can simply dodge. If you dodge to the right, that won't hit you. Okay, the spell I used is a spell that does a tremendous amount of damage to him. But you have to time it so that either he's just landing next to you, or he's standing still for more than 2 seconds. Otherwise, it won't work. And that one does not have alacrity, so if you get hit while you're casting it, you can get knocked out of it. But because you spend most of the fight dodging, you will generate Skyborn Might pretty quickly. I guess that spell might be the Storyteller spell. Which is another one I don't think I have, actually. Okay. Well, I died. Okay, this is the 12th attempt coming up. So 2 more than the Demon of Obsession, who we just fought. But a lot less than a lot of the other bosses we fought in the game. So in the scheme of things, not a difficult boss. Okay, that spell I just used is ass. I'm not using it again. It's just terrible. It looks cooler when other enemies are using it. There's this centipede boss that used that. And I don't know why I thought it was a good spell, since I was able to dodge all of the little rays that came out of that symbol, and he did the same thing. So he flies back and forth. On the third time, he dive bombs you. Ah, that's what happens when you successfully get the spell off. So now instead of running around and getting a obliterate, I just decided to call in the storyteller. I don't know whether summoning him changes anything. The other NPCs, you were summoning them was part of their quest. Doesn't seem like it's part of his quest, although he told me he can be summoned, so I just did it. Don't think I need him much. I just need to get the 2 spells off. The damage the spell does is outrageous. And this, folks, is the actual end of the bosses in Wuchang Falling Feathers. So yeah, she still has the feathering. That hasn't changed. Not quite sure the name of the game anyway. Fallen Feathers. I'm not quite sure what that really represents. But anyway, we're going to grab our stuff that we dropped in one of our previous attempts. And now this is important because this is endgame stuff here. So what I'm going for is the ending that is considered canon, and that is the true ending, which I think of as a good ending, although there is another ending that's called the good ending. There's a bad ending. If you'd given that guy the chisel earlier, it would have been the bad ending, and then there's an early ending. When you met the storyteller in Annalum, this was after the Worship's Rise and Ruin, he gave you an option, and you chose the option that allowed you to continue on the game. So here's Heiyuzai and Bang. And here's Wuchang with no feathering.
Wuchang,
Heading to her
you
ship.
did it.
Remember, she's a pirate.
Our journey
Right.
found its true ending.
We forget that since she didn't do any pirating in this whole playthrough, but she's a pirate, and they're sailing back to her ship. So this breaks the endless cycle, right? So if you had chosen the other ending, you would have awakened. You would have ended up on this boat heading to her ship. She would have feathering still on her arm, and her little sister would be sitting where Fang is sitting in the boat. Now, if you consider, oh, but her sister is there, well, but it starts the cycle all over again, because she still has the feathering, which is deadly. In this particular case, apparently feathering is done. Heiyuzai is back to his normal self. I don't know whether he had a feathering disease or not. He was getting weirder as the game went on. So I'll let the credits play while I talk about the game. I don't know whether the music will stay in, because they might decide, YouTube might decide that this is copywritten material. So we won't let it stay in. But I will give you my summary of the game and my rating of the game, starting shortly. Okay, so here are my thoughts on Wuchang Fallen Feathers. Excellent game. I'm not quite sure I know much about the developers, but this was really, really good. Well done. The end parts, right, where you had 4 or 5 possible endings to the game, I think is pretty good. I think it's a little tricky, because people could stumble into an earlier than planned ending if they had answered the question that the storyteller had asked when he asked for help. The game would have ended there, which would have been, I think I would have been annoyed if that had happened to me. And because there are no save points in terms of save files that you can create, it would have ended the game. I guess maybe if you're playing on PC, you can create saves, but this game sort of automatically backs up, and so that would be a little bit of an issue for me. The bosses were pretty, I thought, well done. Some of them were harder than they needed to be, but that may have been build dependent, since I played this playthrough with a magic build. I like the fact that you can change your build on the fly, and it doesn't cost you anything. So at any point, if you decided you wanted to be an axe wielder, you could have been. Longsword wielder, which you start the game with, you could have been. Dual blade wielder, you could have been. And each of the styles are a little bit different. You know, magic is sort of tied to the short sword, and because it's a magic build, that's what I ended up using most of the playthrough. But in a subsequent playthrough, you can certainly adjust to anything. By the end of the game, you have the materials you need for a upgrade to level 10 weapon, and you can then purchase it at that point. So you could have actually ended up having multiple weapons at plus 10. And you can certainly go through and do another playthrough and reset everything and get a plus 10 weapon anyway. So it depends on your play style and what it is you're looking for. In terms of whether or not it meets the standard for a Soulsborne type game, I think it does. It has interesting lore, although some elements of it was a little bit confusing, but that's true of the Souls games as well. True of Elden Ring as well. So any of the Soulsborne games are a little bit mysterious in terms of the lore. The difficulty in terms of bosses is certainly consistent with Soulsborne games. I've heard people say, "Oh, it was just too easy." I don't know. Maybe it depends on the build that they were playing. For me, it wasn't. I'm pretty certain, I haven't added them all up, I've died probably close to 200 times in this game. 90 plus times to one boss. However, I think that for me, figuring out how to beat the boss is part of the challenge, and that's true for all Soulsborne games. There's a way to do it, otherwise the game wouldn't exist. And I think that that's sort of my takeaway in terms of difficulty for some of the bosses. Let's see, what else? Side quests. There are plenty, and you can mess them up pretty easily by skipping a step. I messed up a couple of them, and I'm not sure how I messed them up. I guess I'd have to go back and do some heavy reading somewhere along the line to figure out how I goofed up quests. Zheng Yi, her quest, I sort of goofed up because she didn't appear where she should have been to assist in one of the boss fights. It's the only boss fight where you can have two of the NPCs assist you. I got Nian to assist, but she never showed up. And I went back and looked at footage to figure out what I did wrong, and I'm guessing that after I spoke to another NPC character, I was supposed to go back to where she was located in Cloudspire and give her something. I had the item that I was supposed to give her, but when I went back to Cloudspire, she wasn't there. So I guess I progressed the game to a point where it was beyond being able to go back and talk to her again. Let's see, what else? Other than that, the other side quests were fairly straightforward. Nian's was straightforward, although at some point you could have ratted him out for being a liar. I'm not sure how that would have ended his quest. I stayed silent, so that allowed me to continue his quest. The Taoist, I'm guessing, if you'd given him the chisel piece, that would have actually technically continued his quest, because you do end up fighting him, or at least he ends up killing you in the end after you fight the final boss. I did not give him the chisel, so I guess in my playthrough, his story ends at me not giving him that. A couple of the other characters are a little bit mysterious. Yu, I don't know what her story was. She and her guardian were sleeping when we got to the capital entrance, and then eventually they disappeared. So I don't know. Maybe they woke up and went somewhere else. They weren't dead at that point. So there are a couple of the sort of side quests I wasn't quite following. I didn't get, even though I was doing all of the parts for their particular quests. Let's see. The atmosphere, the environment was very good. The change from where we were in Worship's Rise to Cloudspire was significant and pretty interesting. And from Cloudspire to Mount Zenwu, again, totally different environment. I love the fact that they were able to make these so different. Even the avian dwelling, the sort of jungle type area, the marshy area was just so different. And yet again, if this game had a map, the map wouldn't be huge. These areas were all connected to one another, and some of them were below surface areas. So it wouldn't be as expansive a map as the Elden Ring map. But it seemed like a big map because we didn't have a map. Right, so we were traveling around. Now, everywhere we went was on foot. So clearly, if you can get there by walking or running or whatever, it can't be too large a space. So, but it felt big, you know. And so I thought they did a great job with that element as well. So everything about it, I think I liked. It was, you know, like I said, the only part that drove me a little bit nuts was not having save files that you can create. Because then it would have made it easier to go back and get all of the endings in one playthrough, which may not be the intent of the developers, which is fine. So on a scale of 1 to 10, this is definitely a 9 or above. Not a 10. Certainly there are things that can be done differently, but I would give it probably a solid 9.4, 9.5. The elements that I described with easily messing up the side quests and the save thing is the only thing that keeps it from being a 10 in my mind. I did not have screen tearing issues that other people had. My technical issues were my own, created because I'm an amateur, not because of anything game related. And I played on a PS5 console. And so with that, I thank you guys for joining me in this final episode. There will be bonus coverage of bosses in New Game Plus, just so that you can see how the new weapon works, right? It'll be a short video, maybe 15, 20 minutes long. Thank you guys for joining me. If you like this video, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next series. Take care. Bye-bye. Reg out.